2 minutes.
Just let me know we're live now, councillors. Yes.
Okay, so that's 9 o'clock. Welcome everyone to this special meeting of the Douglas Shire Council being held on Friday the 9th of October from Austin Council Chambers. Hereby give notice that in accordance with section 277E of the Local Government Regulations 2012, that the special meeting of council will be closed to the public because of health and safety reasons associated with the public health emergency involving COVID-19. And for those that are requiring, this is a state requirement. Of course, it's not a decision being made by council. Again, we only have a small room here and then the internet people here. Right. Of course, this meeting will be viewed via live stream on council's website, which will also be available at a later date to watch. And is also being recorded on audio, and that can also be posted to council's website if we have any video issues through power outages, etc. All right, I'd like to acknowledge the Kuki-Alangi people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay respect to their elders, both past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians who may be listening or watching our meeting this morning. Note that all councillors are here. Of course, we have our CEO and finance staff. We'll note that there's no conflicts of interest because there's only one item today, which is the financial statements. So we can move on to the agenda item, which is 3.1. The financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2020. The recommendation, of course, is the council adopts the financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2020. And the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer be authorised to execute the management certificate and financial sustainability statements accordingly. I'm quite happy to move this one if I can have a seconder, please. Councillor Scomerton. All the documents are here, of course, to be reviewed by the public. They'll be put up for us. Thank you to the CEO, of course, and Ms. Colleen and all your staff. It certainly has been a trying year with COVID-19 kicking in and affecting the budgets and changing a lot of the things. It certainly, as some people have said, it's quite a hostile environment as far as financials are concerned, and I think that will continue throughout the next couple of years until we again find out being through COVID-19. Do we have any objections to the motion today? Okay, I'll open up then to councillors. Would anyone like to comment or ask Ms. Colleen? Councillor Nolan?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to ask a few very basic type of questions, mainly I suppose for the benefit of the public that may be listening now or perhaps later on. And I think it's just important to understand this a few bits and pieces. So, Ms. Glenn, the first question that I had that I'd like you to perhaps explain a little bit further is really about, I suppose, the impact of COVID and how it has affected this council, both through lost revenue and perhaps expenditure. Would you mind just perhaps looking into that a little bit, please?
Good man. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I just have a few words, so I might start with that if that's okay.
Oh,
And then
sorry.
No, it's fine, and then I will come to answer that question.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to thank the CEO, management, and all Douglas Shire Council staff who assisted with the audit, and a special thank you to the finance and corporate services team who bear a great deal of the audit work, and team leaders Joe Nicholson and Sandy Tuck for managing the audit process and preparation of the financial statements. They've worked tirelessly for months under additional constraints due to COVID-19. We're very pleased with the outcome of the audit. Council has cleared all prior year issues, and there are only 2 recommendations for the current year, which have already been actioned and will be finalised before the commencement of the next audit. The external auditors, Queensland Audit Office, QAO, have noted that they're very happy with the changes Council implemented in a short time frame to address the risks presented by altered working arrangements imposed by COVID-19. In fact, there have been many instances of process improvement and digitalisation. The final QAO management letter will be tabled at the next council meeting. And to answer Councillor Nolan's question, the final operating result for 2020 is $828,353 deficit. The deficit varies from the revised budget of $86,915 surplus due to the impacts of COVID-19. The variation from budget equates to 2% of operational revenue. The impact on the operating result due to COVID-19 is approximately $1.3 million. This impact was primarily due to lost revenue due to restrictions on travel and council financial relief measures. We will continue to monitor the impacts of COVID-19 closely. I prepared a summary that was shared with the councillors to go through some of the major impacts of COVID-19. The largest impact was on fees and charges, and the biggest of those was the impact on day trade ferry revenue. The revenue loss due to reduction in travel, not including waiver of fees, was $606,000, and the revenue loss due to our waiver of fees was $140,000. There were other impacts and other measures taken by council, which and the measures of relief are outlined in the COVID note with the financial statements. One of that is, if you want to read. Note 27. There were other impacts such as we refunded some licensing because a lot of businesses were unable to conduct their activities. There was a loss of revenue for the Mosman Pool and Band Park. We lost venue hire for weddings, etc. We had markets closed for a period of time. We had cancelled events, so we lost ticketing for the Carnival. They were the main impacts from COVID-19 on the financial operating financial position.
I have a couple more, if that's okay. So on page 24 of our agenda is point 6, the employee benefit. There seems to be a big difference between one financial year to the next. Would you mind just going to that and why that has occurred?
Yeah, so in 2019 there were a number of unfilled positions, so that was probably lower than it would have been and those positions have subsequently been filled. There were some additional positions, but there was also wage rise from for 22 years as well.
And that covers that approximately $2 billion there, approximately. Yeah. Okay. And then I think I have just one more question, if that's okay. Thank you. Yeah. Point 10, cash and cash equivalents. So once again, you look at 1 year to the next, it seems to be a big variance. Could you just work through that, why that's happened?
Yeah, so if you look at also at note 11,
Yes.
it's just about where our cash was actually held at a point in time. So you can see we've got a lot more in note 10 as cash bank on hand,
Yeah.
rather than in term deposit. And note 11 is term deposits that are greater than 3 months, so there needs to be investments rather than cash equivalents. So we've basically been moving our money around because of the lack of interest rate at the moment. So we've actually recently even pulled the majority back into our operating accounts because we get a better interest rate on that than we get in term deposits, but the interest rates are poor. So it's simply about where we've got the cash held.
Thank you. That's all my questions. I'd just like to thank Mr. Lee and your team. Great, thanks for giving us all this information. Well done.
Any other councillors like to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, great job on all the staff and the difficult time we're going through with COVID-19 and show that the council can give back to the community with relief in, like businesses and ferry and things like that. So it's not as bad as what we thought was going to end up at the end of the day. So what job well done.
Absolutely. In comparison to some other councils, I think we've done very well, and hopefully that will continue into the future. And I think from the answers of your questions that Councillor Nolly has been asking, it shows the staff are adapting very well to fix the situations as we move forward. So with that, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, and that's carried unanimously. And that is the end of our meeting at 9:10. Thank you very much.